going to whiz through our slides. Heather is on the line on the phone, so if I miss anything, she's going to shout out and let me know. But just by way of introduction, Heather and I sit in NHS England in the national team. Heather works specifically in the primary care team, and I work in the national health and wellbeing team. And we look after I look after the whole of the NHS workforce, and that absolutely includes colleagues working in primary care and in pharmacy. So if we move through the next few slides, just by way of background, there is a national health and wellbeing offer in place for all NHS staff. Some of you may already be aware of it and some of you may not know about it. So I'll touch through most things, but as I say, these slides will be shared afterwards so you can have access to them afterwards. Try and keep everything simple. We have got one website where all the resources are located. So on that page, you'll see the NHS England website. You can find access to all the national health and wellbeing offers on that page. We've also got an email address where you can contact one of my team. And we also use Twitter. For those that have social media, you can follow us on Twitter, and that's where we share a lot of resources and also share learning. And if people have stories they'd like to share of their experience, we absolutely put all those up too. So the first thing I just wanted to quickly run through were the national support lines. So if we move on to the next slide, we have two support lines, one that's run by the Samaritans and one that's run by Hospice UK. And the Hospice UK line is specifically about bereavement. So if you are a colleague and you have experienced a bereavement of a friend, family member, colleague, anyone that has affected you, you can absolutely ring that Hospice UK telephone line and speak to a practitioner and talk it through with somebody. The Samaritans line as well, that is available to all NHS colleagues. It's completely confidential, so all these support offers are completely separate to anything that you might receive. It won't go back to your employer. We're not going to track anything. There's no identifiable information collected. So please be assured that if you do want to contact any of the support offers that we're putting in place, it won't be reported back to anyone, and it is completely confidential. We also have a text service for any colleagues who would prefer to text rather than talk on the phone. All the details are on this page, and as I say, we'll share this with you so that you can have a look through. On the next slide, we've got information of some of our counselling offers and coaching offers. So we have a bespoke primary care coaching offer that is available to colleagues working in primary care, and that includes all colleagues working within the pharmacy team. We'll go into the primary care coaching offer in more detail a bit further on. So the next slide, if I just quickly talk through that, we have two specific coaching offers available to colleagues from a BAME background. We've got one that is run by the same providers that do the primary care coaching offer, and we've also got one that is run by the Inspirited Minds and the TEEF project, and is specifically for Islamic colleagues working within the NHS. As I say, there are lots of support offers in place. If you do want more information on these services, please have a look at the websites provided in the links. If we move on to the next slide. So staff mental health hubs you may already know about, you may have accessed them, or you may actually be working in one, but these are available at every ICS. Most of them have now launched. I believe there's a few that are still left to launch, but I think over 33 of the 42 have launched, and these are available again for all NHS colleagues. They're confidential, completely free of charge, and they can offer a clinical assessment and actually support you to receive a referral to a service that you may then need, you know, whether that's talking therapies or another part of the NHS. So if you absolutely do need help and you think that you need referring to services within the wider NHS, please do access your local staff mental health hub. All the details on how to access the support are available on the webpage. So if you would like to try it, please do sign up and get support. If we move on to the next slide. The mental health and wellbeing apps have been one of the most popular services we put in place during the pandemic. They're completely free to all colleagues working across the NHS. The only thing is that for some of them you have to sign up with your NHS or work email account. We have asked for the RPS email domain to be added to the system, so you should be able to access it through your RPS account if that's what you're using. And they are completely free, and they are absolutely separate to anything that you would get through your employer. There's all kinds of apps available, so Headspace you've probably heard of because it's quite well known, but we also have apps like Unmind, which is a really proactive mental health app where you can actually do an assessment of your well-being and then look at areas where you might particularly need support, be that nutrition or physical health. We also have Liberate and Sleepio, which are apps that are specifically designed for colleagues who need support with anxiety and insomnia. So there's all kinds of support available in a digital space if that's the type of support you're interested in. We've had a lot of feedback about these support offers, and colleagues particularly like the fact that they can access it in their own time. It doesn't have to be at home, it doesn't have to be at work. They can do it during the day, they can do it if they're working a night shift and they've got a 15-minute break. So they have been really well received so far, and all have been extended for free into this new financial year. So colleagues can still log in and access support that way if they would particularly like to. If we move on to the next slide. We have a partnership at the moment with the Invictus Games Foundation, so Prince Harry's charity. We are working with them to share learning from their experiences in the armed forces, how that can affect their well-being, and how that may be transferable across the NHS, particularly given the pandemic and all the work that colleagues have done during the last year. They have shared with us a series of podcasts for colleagues who are interested in listening to a podcast, and they're also running a virtual NHS 5K. It's not a major challenge, it's absolutely, not a marathon, it's not a sprint, it's just a way of NHS colleagues coming together and doing a 5 kilometre challenge in a way that suits them. So you might want to walk it, you might want to run it, you might want to cycle it, you might want to do it in a way that works best for you. We've even got colleagues signed up who said they're going to do it on horseback. So it really is completely open to however you'd like to do it. Some colleagues have said they're going to dance it. So it's just a way to step away from work, get some outside fresh air, and just enjoy being out and the impacts that physical well-being can have on your mental health. So if you haven't already signed up, please do sign up. We're doing some regional challenges as well to see which patch across the country is winning on the 5K. So please do sign up if you'd like to, and there's some peer support there as well with other colleagues from the NHS. You can see how they're all doing. When you skip on to the next slide, it's probably going to play the videos. Well, it didn't. So we've also put in place some resources on substance misuse and gambling. We know that for some colleagues, this has been impacted over the last year. They maybe don't want to talk to their employer about it. So if you go on our website, there are some resources available to colleagues in that space. And if you move on to the next slide, there's also some resources available for colleagues on financial health and wellbeing. We know this has been particularly affected during the pandemic. So we've absolutely put some support in place through the Money and Pension Service if you need support with that. So please do log on. And as I say, it is completely confidential. They also offer a telephone service if you'd like to talk to somebody about your money as well. And then if we move on to the next slide. We've got some support in place for parents. If you need help talking to your children, for example, about things like bereavement or how to manage a loss, or even things like anxiety, the Place to Be team are offering a free programme for all NHS colleagues. So colleagues working in pharmacy can absolutely access these resources. And City Parents offering an online programme that helps you manage your home life balance when you've got kids at home, or when your kids are at school and you just need some help and support. They again also do things like podcasts, blogs, online peer support, that kind of thing. So there are all those resources available for colleagues. Similarly, I think you just sign up with your email address, and that is now available for free until the end of June. And then if we move on to the next slide, there's a bespoke offer for leaders. So to be clear, when we say a leader, we don't necessarily mean somebody that's super senior within the NHS. What we mean is somebody who may have line management responsibilities, or who somebody has colleagues who look up to them. So within general practice, for example, it might be a practice manager. Within a pharmacy, it might be a pharmacy team leader or a pharmacy ICS lead. So you don't have to be a certain grade to be a leader. It's somebody that has line management or leadership responsibilities within their role. There are a range of coaching and mentoring offers available for leaders within the NHS, and this has been provided to us by the Army and the Armed Forces. So absolutely, you're more than welcome to access those support offers if that's something that you would find helpful. And then we're getting to the good bits. We're getting to Heather's slides, which I'm sure is what everyone would like to hear about. So there's some online resources if colleagues would like to access those, but if we just quickly whiz through to get to the good slides. So the primary care health and wellbeing system pilots, hopefully you've all heard about. We've got 4.5 million this financial year to put in place health and wellbeing pilots across primary care. We're looking to fund at least 14, and what we're asking is that they are done at system level. But what we really want is across primary care, colleagues from pharmacy, dental, optometry, general practice to all be working together to look at what their staff need and how they can support staff over the next few months with their wellbeing. The NHS England national team will fund it, and we'll help you evaluate it as well so that you can see whether there's been any impact over the next few months. So bids are open for that. So if you haven't heard about it, please do send me an email and we can send you all the communications, and then you can have a look at whether or not it's something you'd like to bid for. And then if we move on, just to let you know, if you would like to have your say on any of the content on the national offer, you absolutely can. It's an online survey for you to fill out. It takes about 10 minutes, and you can fill it out and let us know if you think there's anything missing. If you think we've completely missed the point on something, that's absolutely fine. All feedback is welcome, and we do shape our offer based on your feedback. The next slide is just a one pager in case you wanted one page to find all the resources. That was feedback from colleagues last week. And now the really good bit, which is the data, which everyone wants to know about. So the Looking After You Too and the Looking After Your Team programme is a coaching offer that was put in place specifically for primary care colleagues. It's for clinical and non-clinical staff working within the primary care workforce. And by that, we mean people who are either employed by the NHS or contracted to deliver services on behalf of the NHS. You don't have to have an NHS contract to access support. You can register and book a session on the link on that page, and sessions are available Mondays to Fridays and also at weekends as well for those colleagues that would find a weekend more helpful. Now, if we look at the data, you can see here that there's been loads of sessions delivered. We've almost delivered 10,000 sessions within the first 12 months, which is absolutely huge. You'll notice as well that the feedback that we've received so far has been 100% positive, which is really incredible. That's not something that happens all the time. Colleagues have reported that they felt listened to, they felt supported, and they found that after having their session, they were able to move forward from whatever it was that they actually spoke to the coachee about. If we move on to the next slide. If we look at pharmacy in particular, apologies, it's quite small, but if you look on the graph on the right-hand side, the lines in green are colleagues from pharmacy who have access support. So of those sessions that we've delivered, just under 500 were for colleagues working within the pharmacy workspace. Again, 100% positive feedback. We've had 72% of coachees actually ask for further sessions. It's not just a one-off. You don't just get ticked off once you've had your first session, so you absolutely can ask for more. And then in total, 383 of the sessions were completed. So if we move on to the next slide, there's a bit more detail on the data. So for those that would like to know a regional breakdown, you can actually see in that top left-hand corner the breakdown per NHS England region. There's a breakdown per age group, so you'll actually see from that graph that 35 to 44 years of age was the most popular age group from pharmacy that were accessing support. Likewise, we can see a breakdown between gender. It may not surprise colleagues, but it was the female population of the pharmacy workforce that accessed more support than the male population. And then we've actually got a breakdown as well by ethnicity. So for colleagues that would like some more information on that, if you look at that graph in the bottom right-hand corner, that just gives you a breakdown of which demographic group staff members who've accessed support would identify with. So there's all kinds of breakdown of data and information on what the pharmacy workforce are accessing. And then something that we particularly look at and find interesting nationally is what colleagues are asking for support with. So what key themes have popped up during a session, and you'll see that the biggest one there, the blue colour, is action planning, and also checking in on actions from previous meetings. So colleagues are seeking support to move on, regardless of what it's about. They are looking for support to move forward. And then if we move on to the next slide. As ever, we like to try and keep comms simple from our side. So hopefully you'll have seen some of these before and they'll look familiar and you'll go, oh yes, I know what that is. We constantly share comms to promote this offer so that we reach colleagues that we haven't necessarily reached before. So if you haven't seen these, do let us know and we'll share them with you so that you can circulate them amongst your groups. We've been doing advertising through different journals, through different emails, through e-bulletins. We do various different stakeholder engagement sessions such as this one. And we also have some PCN webinars that Nikki Kanani chairs. So lots of comms going out, trying to keep the comms consistent, but as well as sharing the offer, we are also sharing case studies. So if you'd like to hear from somebody that's accessed support and how they found it, we've published a range of case studies and quotes on our website as well that you can also refer to. And then I think we're almost on the last slide. So looking after your team is another part of this coaching offer. This coaching offer is specifically for groups, so for those who are leading, managing or organising a team or a group within primary care. Again, we've had some feedback that yes, individuals have been affected by COVID, but absolutely teams have been affected too, and there might be some tensions across teams. So this is why we've put in place this offer, specifically again for primary care colleagues and their teams. And then if we move on to the next slide, I'm going to leave it there, and I'm just going to pull in Heather, who's on the phone, to ask if there's anything else I've missed as I've whizzed through her slides. Well, I think you're on mute, Heather.
Heather, can you hear us?
Hello, sorry. I can now. It wasn't letting me on mute. Apologies for that. And I've failed miserably at getting onto Zoom, so apologies for that too. But thank you, Claire. I think you've covered off the slides very well, and happy for anybody to email me following. And I'll also send through a communication pack, which we've got for both the 2 and Teams offer. So we've got all of the copy, etc., ready and waiting for you to share amidst your networks. But thank you.